Welcome to Hustle System. My name is Mikhail, and I help people master their mindset, build a better business, and help you live your life on your terms. In this video, I'm going to talk about evening rituals and sleep. And these are two elements that are so critical to your human performance. You would be blown away. I had a staff member ask me, Mikhail, talk about this. I can never get to sleep on time. I'm always going to bed 2, 3, 4 in the morning, waking up at 11. I feel groggy. I miss the morning call. And I feel like by the time that the sun sets, I've only had, a third of my day, a fourth of my day go by. And as a result of that, I stay up even later. I'm a vampire. I'm really creative at night, but I find that it affects my performance and I'm not really able to catch that morning thing. And that's what I want to talk about in this video, help you optimize your evening schedule and help you get better sleep, because there's a lot of things that happen in your sleep that you're probably not even aware of that are responsible for things like anti-aging, for memory and retention, for comprehension, and all of these other things, consolidation, as well as learning. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm super excited. Before we dig in, please click the subscribe button down below this video. And if you've already subscribed but haven't clicked the notification bell, please click that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload more awesome videos just like this one. So let's dig on in. Sleep. What happens in your brain when you're falling asleep? Well, you have what's known as the PFC, your prefrontal cortex, actually kicks into overdrive. And this is why a lot of the most creative things that happen in your mind happen during sleep. You ever have that where you have a busy day and you go to bed and you wake up and you're like, oh, I had this crazy idea, right? You have some crazy epiphany. And they used to think actually that dreams used to happen all at once in the moment you woke up. They now know that's not true. Dreams happen throughout the entire night. And that's what I want to talk about in this video and really break that down, the importance of sleep. Okay, there's a few things that happen in your brain, in your mind while you're sleeping that affect your performance throughout the day. The first is actually a mechanism of forgetting. Okay, so as we learn new things, as we train ourselves to become better at our skills, there are certain patterns that are meant to be forgotten or meant to fall away. Okay, a good example of this is, say, something like PTSD. If you are a soldier, you're in Iraq, and you're used to having to duck when large vehicles go by, and when you come back and a large bus goes by, you don't necessarily want to have that same reaction in a civilian environment that you'd want to have in a military environment. And so it would make a lot of sense for you to be able to forget that. And that's the first thing that happens, is actually forgetting of old patterns that no longer serve you. Okay, that's something that happens asleep. The second is consolidation of information. So when we go to bed, as we're falling asleep, our brain starts as a chaotic bee's nest of neurons firing off in electrical activity because of all of the chaos of the day. There's all these things going on in our brain. And so if you've ever been sleep deprived, you start to notice your decision making goes down. It's because you're never able to consolidate that process. You're never able to untangle those shoelaces, and it ends up being tangled for a really, really long time. So again, number one is forgetting bad habits. Number two is consolidating the wealth of information that you've experienced during the day. And the third, and this is fascinating, is when your PFC kicks in, your prefrontal cortex kicks in, is actually visualization and manifestation of new realities that are linked to your previous memories. And this is fascinating because when Salvador Dali was asked, what do? He says, I meticulously implement and execute my dreams. And that really stuck with me because if you look at some of the greatest artists of all time, right? Rock musicians, inventors, creatives, a lot of what they've done has been attributed to things that they've experienced in what I call a dream state. In this dream state where your prefrontal cortex is able to visualize things that are not linked to, quote, reality. Because what happens is the logical part of your brain shuts down and the emotional part of your brain takes over. So that means if you start to think, hey, it'd be really cool to fly, in your dream now, you're flying. Or it'd be really cool to be an elephant, now in your dream, you're an elephant. That's why sometimes you wake up from the dream and it feels surreal. It feels like you manifested a new reality because you've tied things in your real world to a new hypothetical. But here's what's fascinating. A lot of those things are actually just jumbled memories. So you know what an elephant is, and you've taken that elephant and you've become the elephant now. So you've kind of taken reality and you've molded it in a unique way. But what's fascinating is when you really look at dream dissection and dream analysis, there's actually not that much new that's in there. There's only a small percentage of new things because our mind is not very good at creating new hypotheticals. It's only able to connect the pieces between existing things. So again, number one, forgetting bad patterns that no longer serve you. Number two, consolidating data. And number three is creating new, amazing, creative solutions to problems and uncovering new ways to execute. I mean, I'll raise my hand here. The amount of times that I've been working on a problem, I go to bed and I wake up with the solution is countless. Is countless. And they've proven that, mice or students, if they were told to, let's say, work on a problem and then take a nap, those of them that actually dreamt about that problem were able to solve it to much greater success after the nap. So it means that there's actually a solution process that happens in your sleep. This is why when my staff member asked me this, he said, Mikhail, how do I get better sleep? For me, this is really important to create this video because maybe this helps you. So the first thing is this concept of REM sleep, okay? Rapid eye movement sleep is the most restorative phase of sleep. And we tend to hit that in 1.5 to 3 hour increments. So if you were to really take a look at the perfect amount of time to sleep, it would be 6, 7.5, and then 8 hours. Okay, that's kind of the range. And people kind of vary depending on who they are. For me, it's 7.5 hours is my sweet spot. 9 is a little bit too long. 6 is a little too short. So 7.5, which means you've got about a 30-minute window when you want to fall asleep, which is about 8 hours. Okay, so how do I get that? How do I make sure I get that every night? Those of you that follow me on social media, if you don't, I highly recommend that you do. Maybe we'll include an Instagram link here, which would be a good idea. You know that most of the time I wake up at about 5 in the morning to get to the gym by 5:30. Now, that doesn't start at 5 in the morning. That process starts at about 5 p.m. the previous day. What I start doing is at around 5 or 6 p.m., right before the sun sets, I start to proactively wind down my day. Because if you are wired up and it's 7 p.m., 8 p.m., there's no way you're gonna be able to fall asleep by 9:30. And that's my marker. By 9:30, I need to be not just getting into bed, but I need to be asleep. I need to be not just falling asleep, but I need to actually be asleep by say 9:15 to 9:30, which means I need to be in bed by 8:45 or 9 with no devices. What that means is at 8 p.m., my devices go away. My devices go off. Okay, I go ahead, I take my phone, I put it on airplane mode, I have my little alarm and I put it in a freaking drawer thing so I can't reopen it. I really need to get a lock for it to and then put the key on the other side of the room because it prevents you from seeing. So what happens when you have that device is it's triggering blue light, right? If you my buddy James Swanwick got a great company, Swanwick Sleep, with these glasses, right? The blue blocking glasses that block out the blue light because the blue light prevents a lot of things from triggering. It prevents melatonin from triggering in your brain, and your brain doesn't wind down, right? Those electrical synapses keep firing up, They're still getting stimuli, the brain's not very good at differentiating between sunlight and blue light. So it keeps thinking, hey, it's daytime, I need to stay awake, I need to be productive, I need to do things, even though it might be 10 or 11 at night already and the sun's been set for 2 or 3 hours. So what we've done with technology is we've created ways to trick our biology and staying awake longer, and that's why a lot of people have insomnia problems. So my recommendation for sleep and for getting into that REM state, because again, it's so important for you to get the eraser, the eraser of the old habits. That alone is huge, because now you have all this room to install new stuff. Consolidation of information means now you've kind of taken everything that happened that day, you were able to process it and let go of it, and then this creative process that helps you wake up and solve a problem. So if you really want to get to that state and be proactive about it and have that every single day, I mean, imagine 365 days that you sleep, imagine having that every single day instead of being underslept and not fully having that. That's why some people wake up, they're very groggy in the morning, right? I don't have that. Most of the people that follow this protocol don't have that. So my recommendation is around 5 or 6 p.m. And again, it's very early. Start to wind your day down. So definitely no caffeine past 3. Definitely no crazy high intensity stuff. I do my gym first thing in the morning because of this. So start thinking more books, more calmness, less stimuli to the brain. You can do more consistent stimuli. That's why books are really, really good. You can have a nice dinner. You can do some of these, some meditation. You can pull it back. It doesn't mean you completely need to shut your device off, but maybe do something that's, maybe work on content writing rather than watching, YouTube videos, right? So if you're doing something that's kind of methodical and more stable, don't be answering emails and answering all these messages and dealing with all this stuff, because it's going to trick your brain into thinking you need to be active. And what happens is by about 6, 7, 8, you want your brain to kind of start getting tired and falling asleep and being ready to fall asleep and get to bed by around 8:45. And so what I do is at 8, I shut my phone off, I put it away, and then between 8 and 9 or so, I just kind of exist. I try and just kind of exist. Now, I'll be honest, sometimes I do watch a movie. You're not really shouldn't. But that's a way I kind of used to hack that instead of like just reading a book for an hour. But sometimes I'll write. Sometimes I'll look at my schedule and restructure my schedule. Just things that are really calm. I'll look at my to-do list for the next day, really visualize how I'm going to process that. And what happens is because I'm visualizing that, as I go to bed, I'm thinking about it, I wake up, I'm already ready, I'm already in flow. I never really break out of that, but I've consolidated the critical information that I need to have. I've also erased a lot of the lessons that, you know, I tested this, that didn't work, okay, I need to not do that again. Okay, I tested this, that worked, I need to do more of that, right? So I was able to have that process. So that's my recommendation if you're somebody who's finding yourself staying up really late. The point to catch that is not at night. You're not gonna be able to catch that by trying to, quote, go to bed earlier. What you need to do is you need to catch it the day before. And let's say you are someone who currently goes to bed at 2 a.m. My biggest recommendation is to undersleep. Okay, so the best way to reset this is go to bed at 2, wake up at 8. And you're gonna be a zombie for that whole day. But the trick is to get to bed early enough. And if you're tired enough, you'll actually be able to get to bed early enough to where you'll hit that first phase and then you'll start waking up earlier and earlier and earlier. And if you really were to take a look at our circadian rhythm, the way that we're structured, we're supposed to kind of go to bed when it's dark and wake up when it's light. So those of you that are sleeping during light hours, there's a part of your amygdala that actually picks up on sensory information from light sources. And it actually triggers a subliminal part of your brain that says, hey, you need to wake up now, you need to wake up now, you need to wake up now. So if you're someone who, let's say, goes to bed at 2 and the sun rises at 7, you're only really getting 5 hours of really proper sleep. After 5 hours, there's a part of your brain that triggers and says, hey, there's light out there, I'm gonna start waking you up even though you're tired. And that's why you end up being so groggy. And there's also a psychological effect to waking up really early where if I'm in the gym by 5:30 and I'm walking out at 6:30 or let's say 7 while everyone else is just stumbling in, there's a psychological effect that I've gotten the jump start on a day, that I'm beating everybody. And that creates a really powerful momentum that you could push all the way forward through your entire day and actually get a lot more out of it. It's called the winner effect, where once you win once, you're much more likely to stack up other wins on top of it, okay? So this has been a quick little breakdown on sleep, the importance of sleep. Again, there's a lot more science that we can go into. The importance of having an evening ritual, of having a wind down, of doing it early. If you need to take 5-HTP, take it. If you need to take melatonin, take it. If you need to do a hot tea, take it, just don't drink so much to where you have to wake up halfway through the night, right? And that evening ritual is really where I catch it and I go, okay, I'm gonna get to bed on time so I can wake up early. If I don't catch that evening ritual, I have the same thing. I'll be up until 10, 11, and I can't go to bed at 11, wake up at 5. It's doable 1 or 2 nights, but it's not doable, 7 days a week. Can't do it, right? Just not possible. You're gonna be underslept, you're gonna underperform. You might as well just get the extra 2-3 hours of sleep, catch up, and rock it. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Also track your sleep. There's the Oura Ring, which I usually wear, it's charging right now. Highly recommended. There's the Whoop, which I highly recommend as well. And then there's also a Sleep Cycle app. If you can't afford either of those 2 devices, get Sleep Cycle and at least start taking a look at your sleep patterns. Make sure you're hitting at least a decent amount of REM because, again, those 3 effects are monumental and super critical to your success. Again, ability to erase old patterns, ability to consolidate data, and an ability to visualize new creative solutions to the problems that you're currently facing. All right, so this has been sleep, evening ritual, pretty simple stuff, nothing too crazy, but again, it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do it. So if you are someone who struggles with this, that's my recommendation. Number 1, if you need to reset, just undersleep the day before, go through it, go to bed early, and then wake up early. And if you're someone who feels like they could catch it the night before, go ahead and try and catch that at around 6 or 7 and say, I'm gonna go to bed in 2.5 hours and down-regulate all of your stimuli and see what happens. Do some nice melatonin, do some nice 5-HTP, do a nice chamomile tea, whatever it takes to wind you down, go to bed. And if you find that your mind is still racing, well, that's a surefire sign that the psychology of what you're experiencing is overstimulating your mind and you need to downregulate more and more and more and be more productive with your morning. Because one thing that I find is if I have a lot of things still left at the end of the day, that means that my morning the next day needs to be more productive. Whereas if I'm really productive in the morning, then I don't have as many things left by the end of the day. It's kind of a chicken before the egg kind of thing, where if you're like, you have all these things at the end of your day, you're like, I should be doing all these things, I should be doing all these things. If you're able to just calm yourself down and say, you know what, I'm not doing them. I'm not doing any of this. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna go to bed early. I'm gonna not think about these. I'm gonna not allow the anxiety to creep in. You let those things go. You wake up early. You go to the gym. You do your thing. You hit it hard, and you start knocking them out, knocking them out, knocking them out, knocking them out. And because you're more effective, by the end of that day, you realize, wow, there's a lot that I got done, and I don't have that anxiety anymore. So again, I've tried both. I've tried being a night owl. That worked great when I was a musician, but I do find morning far more productive especially because of that amygdala part of your brain that's triggered from sunlight. All right. So again, evening rituals, sleep, importance, how to reset, tested over and over again. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. Hopefully this helped at least some of you. If it did, please leave a comment down below with a big heart or a big thumbs up or a big panda emoji. I love panda emojis. As always, this is Mikhail with Hustle System. I help people master their mindset, build a better business, and help you live your life on your terms. Love you, appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.